Hi, I'm Ellen from the Chili Dog. I'm working on the heel flap of my entwinement socks, and today I'd like to show you a neat Scandinavian colorwork technique known as twining. When you're twining, one side of your fabric looks fairly plain with alternating vertical stripes, or in some cases, you may have a checkerboard of color. However, because of how you twist and carry the two yarns that you're working with, the other side of the fabric has this sort of herringbone effect. The fabric also has a little extra thickness and squish, making it a fun and functional alternative for a sock heel. As I work the heel flap back and forth in rows, I'll demonstrate how to manage and twine or twist your yarns, both English and Continental style. And I'll talk briefly about the selvage stitches. But before that, there are a couple things you should know about the stitch pattern and the yarn twist. Let's get started. Twining is typically done with two alternating colors of yarn, and you're essentially just knitting in stockinette stitch. So when you're working in rows like I am, you're knitting on one side and purling on the other. The knit side of the fabric looks pretty normal, just with those vertical stripes. The magic all happens as you're twisting your yarns on the purl side. When you're working in rows, on both sides, you can choose to either always twist the yarn for the next stitch over the yarn from the previous stitch, or you can always twist the yarn for the next stitch under the yarn from the previous stitch. Either way will work. However, I find that it's easiest to always twist the next yarn over. So that's what I'll be demonstrating today. On the purl side of the fabric, when I pass the next yarn over the previous yarn, look at the twist. The yarns have what's known as a Z twist. This yarn that's passing over slants in the same direction as the center of the letter Z. On the knit side of my fabric, when I pass the next yarn over the previous yarn, the yarns have an S twist. This yarn that's passing over slants in the same direction as the center of the letter S. When I'm twining English style, I tension my yarn just like I normally would, except I always keep my yarn separated with my index finger. On the purl side, to do the twist, I insert my needle purlwise just to keep things stabilized before I do the twist. And then I use my thumb to hold the separation, reinsert my index finger so that this new yarn is passing over the top of the old yarn, and purl my stitch. Insert my needle, separate with my thumb, and then twist the new yarn over. And with practice, the motion becomes a lot more fluid. On the knit side, I'm still tensioned just like I was before with my index finger keeping things separated. Again, before I do the twist, I like to insert my needle to keep things stabilized. This time, the thumb is going to do the twist while the index finger is holding things in place. So you bring your thumb under, your new yarn gets passed over, reinsert your index finger, and knit your stitch. Use your thumb to twist the next yarn over, reinsert your index finger, and knit. And again, with practice, this becomes a very fluid motion. For continental style twining, I tension my yarn like I normally would, but this time I don't normally find it easier to separate the two yarns. So I'll, on the purl side, insert my needle to stabilize things, use my thumb to separate the yarns and pass the new yarn over the old yarn and also over my knitting needle so that I can purl the next stitch. Again, insert my needle, use my thumb to guide the new yarn over the old yarn and over my needle and purl the next stitch. On the knit side of things, I find that my index finger does end up separating the two yarns. So I'll insert my needle knitwise. I use my thumb and index finger to do that twist, bringing the new yarn over the top of the old yarn, and then knit the stitch. So again, I'll insert my needle, twist the yarn, the new yarn comes over the top of the old yarn, and then knit the stitch. Insert the needle, twist the new yarn over the old yarn, and knit. Just like with regular single color stockinette stitch, there are different ways you can handle the selvage stitches. Because I'm working a heel flap where I'll be picking up stitches along each side to create the gusset of my sock, what I'm choosing to do for this particular pattern is for every row, both right side and wrong side, I'll slip the first stitch purlwise, insert my needle into the second stitch so that I'm ready to work it. At this point, my two yarns are not twisted around each other at all yet. So I'll give a half twist in the appropriate direction, and then one more half twist in the same direction so that I can work the next stitch in the same color that it already is worked. Then I can continue on in pattern, twining across the row until I get to the end of the row. One last piece of twining trivia before I go. I'm twining over multiple rows to create my heel flap. Did you know there's a special name for when you only twine your stitches for 2 rows or rounds? It's called a Latvian braid. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson on twined colorwork in rows. If you did, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and share it with your knitting friends. If you'd like to try this technique in a pattern, head over to the shop section of thechilidog.com and look for our entwinement socks. Until we stitch again, happy knitting.